Hi. The base 2-liter engine of the 3ZR-FV series with a double-phase change system at the inlet and outlet. The phase regulator clutches run 150,000 kilometers and the timing chain drive runs under 250,000 kilometers. But pre-styling copies had problems with the valve-o-matic system, which changes the height of the intake valves. The actuator could fail already by 50,000 kilometers. Rafiki 2015 and younger were spared from this disease. The motor does not like overheating, which usually occurs due to antifreeze that has not been changed for a long time and a clogged radiator, and an oil change is recommended every 10,000 kilometers, but even more often is better. Regular flushing is also needed for the throttle assembly, otherwise it will become overgrown with deposits, which is fraught with uneven operation and poor startup. The VVTi system requires more careful selection of engine oil. Too thick can cause timing problems. The recommended viscosity grade is 0W30. Many gasoline-powered Toyotas have leaking coolant pumps. And RAV4 is no exception, regardless of the motor. But the knocks of a worn-out phase shifter clutch on the intake camshaft are a problem exclusively for 2-liter versions. With a 2.5-liter engine, this does not happen, and the crankshaft oil seals do not leak here either. In a 2.5-liter gasoline engine, the unreliable operation of the cooling system pump was noted. It leaked quite often. The 2.2-liter 2AD 150 horsepower diesel engine was adapted, the particulate filter was removed, and the fuel equipment was recalibrated along the way. But the unit did not become more reliable from this. Injectors rarely last longer than 100,000 kilometers, and then they begin to fail one after another. Despite the calibration, the injectors sin with fuel overflow. As a result, the pistons burn out and the oil ages rapidly, into which diesel fuel particles enter through the piston rings. Lubricant diluted with diesel fuel is not able to properly protect rubbing pairs. Since the summer of 2015, the nozzles have changed, but in reality they turned out to be not much more reliable than the previous ones. The head gasket loses its tightness after about 150,000 kilometers. The blame for this is not too hard block, which is covered with microcracks in the area of U200B junction with the cylinder head. And then begins the excess consumption of oil and antifreeze. The result: carbon-covered pistons and a complete failure of the motor. Reliable Japanese manual transmission is combined only with 2-liter versions. The clutch here takes care of up to 200,000 kilometers. Aisin CVTs of the K111 and K111F series can live up to 250,000 kilometers of run, subject to quiet urban operation without off-road races and with regular oil changes. But basically CVTs are handed over after 150,000 kilometers. Most often the shaft support bearings fail. When buying, it is important to have a good diagnosis with a scanner and control the condition of the oil, as well as a running test of the crossover in different modes to detect noise and jerks. The older gasoline and diesel versions of the RAV4 came with modified Camry fluid mechanics, with a reinforced torque converter and updated software. The box runs for a long time, provided that the radiators are clean and the oil is fresh. It is recommended to update it every 60,000 kilometers. Gasoline options relied on the U760F automatic, diesel U660F. The latter is a little more demanding. It has unreliable front planetary bearings, and a crunch may appear on a run of about 150,000 kilometers. If you do not pay attention to it, you can end up losing the box. 4-wheel drive, weak clutch and bevel gear on all Rafiks. The threaded part of the rear stabilizer strut protrudes strongly down, and when driving off-road it can be bent. In variants with a 2.5-liter engine, the exhaust pipe of the muffler also hangs too low. If you do drive off the asphalt, block the clutch in advance. Otherwise, when slipping, it will inevitably overheat. In addition, the clutch has a weak shaft bearing, which usually gives itself away as a strong, obsessive trolleybus rumble. Expensive. There is an alternative. By the VIN code, we determine the type of unit, then on the profile form, using the summary table, we look for a suitable bearing. The angle gearbox after 100,000 runs may begin to leak oil through the rear cover from where the right drive comes out. Regular inspection from below will prevent a strong leak, and repair, in which case, is simple and inexpensive. RAV4, regardless of the version, will be quite tough, but the chassis has an excellent resource up to 150,000 kilometers. The only thing that can fail earlier is the front stabilizer bushings. And there are no folk remedies here, only the purchase of new ones. After restyling in 2015, softer springs, reconfigured shock absorbers, and at the same time a stiffer subframe with larger silent blocks were installed on the crossover. The degree of wear of the front stabilizer bushings is best determined by ear when driving on the primer at low speed. When buying a replacement, you need to be more careful. Bushings of different diameters were installed on the machines. Even suppliers are confused. Pads and discs on the RAV4 do not last long regardless of their manufacturer. The mileage limit is 20,000 kilometers for the first and 40,000 for the second. RAV4 begins to tap to 150,000 kilometers. All cars from this generation may begin to shake the hood. With age, the sealant between the hood frame and the outer panel dries out. The way out is to remove the soundproofing lining and generously coat it with ordinary construction sealant. Another trouble with the cars of the first years of production is long cracks on the windshield. The probable reason is the small number of weld points on the glass frame. On restyled crossovers, tail light caps may begin to burst due to internal body stress. Since May 2018, new optics have gone. The interior of the RAV4 is very budget. The plastic is mostly hard, half of the buttons are not backlit. The age of the cars quickly begins to give out the worn upholstery of the seats and the steering wheel braid. The ideal RAV4 is with a 2.5-liter engine, but you need to look and check the mileage. These engines are often twisted before being sold. Otherwise, a simple interior, imperfect suspension, and possible problems with the CVT are more than offset by the reliability of the car. There are no massive recall campaigns, no childhood illnesses, no disposable turbo engines, no dying preselections, and crumbling suspensions. But if you want to have fun, you can take a diesel. He definitely won't let you get bored. If you know of other breakdowns or malfunctions, then tell us about it in the comments. Your review can help others when choosing a used car.